Welcome back to Level Up with Rachel Fox, where average comes to die. Picture this. You're sitting under a real tree. Real leaves are falling around you. Real wind is moving through the branches. Real dirt is under your legs. And there you are, glue stick in one hand, scissors in the other, carefully pasting a picture of a Lamborghini next to a beach house, next to a six-pack set of abs, while whispering, "I attract abundance. I am already living my dream life. The universe is rearranging itself for me." Marcus Aurelius steps out of the actual forest, boots still muddy from the frontier, cloak still damp from real weather. He looks at the cardboard, looks at the falling leaves that do not care about your vision board, and quietly asks if you have completely lost touch with reality. That is the scene. And that is the problem. In this episode, we are going to tear the modern vision board and manifestation industry apart with pure satire. We are going to put it next to real life, real nature, real people, and real experience, the kind that does not care about your corkboard. We will connect it to Mortimer Adler's demand for rigorous thinking, instead of feel-good fantasies, and we will give you the actual Stoic alternative that builds an unbreakable mind. No glue sticks, no Pinterest, no raising your vibration, just the hard practice that works in the real world. Let's get into it. First, meet the man who is about to wake you up. Marcus Aurelius was not a lifestyle influencer. He was the emperor of Rome during war, plague, flood, and political betrayal. He spent years on the northern frontier, living in military tents, dealing with real cold, real hunger, real death, and real responsibility. He wrote meditations as private notes to himself, not for an audience, not for likes, not for a manifestation course. These were the raw reminders he needed to stay sane and virtuous while the world did what the world does: keep moving, keep changing, keep refusing to obey anyone's vision board. He looked at real nature every day. Trees grew and died without asking permission. Rivers flooded without checking his mood board. Enemies attacked without waiting for him to feel abundant. People died of plague without first appearing on his corkboard as released energy. Marcus did not respond by cutting out pictures of a perfect empire and gluing them to wood. He trained his mind to face what was actually in front of him. Now look at what most people do instead. You buy a corkboard. You print out images of the life you want. You arrange them just so. You add affirmations in nice handwriting. You hang it where you can see it every morning. You tell yourself that by focusing on these images, you are aligning with the universe, or programming your subconscious, or manifesting. Then you go about your day mostly the same way you did before, same habits, same avoidance, same soft thinking, while checking the board occasionally to feel inspired. Marcus would look at this the same way he looked at any other form of self-deception. The forest does not care about your board. The weather does not care. The economy does not care. Other people do not rearrange their lives because you pasted a picture of a yacht. Real nature is indifferent. Real life is indifferent. Real results come from what you do in the face of that indifference, not from decorating your fantasies under a tree. Let's bring in real life for a moment. Think about the people you actually know who built something lasting. The single parent who worked 2 jobs and still got the kids through school. The immigrant who arrived with almost nothing and built a business through years of long hours and rejected applications. The athlete who trained in the rain when no one was watching. The writer who rewrote the same chapter 40 times. None of them sat under a tree gluing pictures of the outcome and waiting for the universe to deliver. They met the real world every day, the real rejection, the real fatigue, the real setbacks, and kept acting anyway. Now think about the people who stay stuck. Many of them have beautiful vision boards. Their boards are full of travel, money, perfect relationships, and ideal bodies. Their social media is full of manifestation language. And yet, year after year, the gap between the board and their actual life stays the same or grows wider. Why? Because the board is not training. It is a substitute for training. It feels like progress. It produces almost none. Nature itself is the ultimate satire on vision boards. Go outside right now if you can. Look at a tree. That tree does not visualize becoming taller. It does not cut out pictures of sunlight and paste them to its bark. It grows by doing the slow, unglamorous work of roots, water, and light in whatever soil and weather it was given. A river does not manifest its path. It cuts through rock over time by persistent force. Mountains do not attract abundance, they simply endure. Real nature is the opposite of magical thinking. It is patient, indifferent, and relentlessly real. Marcus understood this in his bones. Living on the frontier, he saw that the natural world and human nature both operate by the same hard rules. Things happen that you do not control. People act in ways you cannot dictate. Your body will eventually fail. The only domain that is truly yours is your judgment, your effort, and your character in response. Vision boards try to expand the domain of control through fantasy. Stoicism accepts the real limits and pours energy into the only place that yields results. This is where Mortimer Adler walks into the forest with us. Adler spent his life arguing that most people never learn to think rigorously. They prefer comforting slogans and easy images to the hard work of examining reality. A vision board is the perfect modern example of what he would have called intellectual junk food. It is pleasant to look at. It requires almost no mental effort. And it leaves the mind exactly as soft as it was before. Real growth, Adler insisted, comes from wrestling with difficult ideas, confronting what is true rather than what feels good, and refusing to settle for the first pleasant fantasy that comes along. So what does the Stoic alternative actually look like when you put it next to real life? Here is the practical system, the one that works under real trees, with real people in real weather. First, replace the vision board with honest self-examination. Every morning, instead of looking at pictures of the life you wish you had, write down the real state of the life you actually have. No marketing language, no spiritual bypassing. I am avoiding this hard conversation. I have not trained my body in 3 weeks. I am still spending money I do not have. Then ask what virtue the real situation requires: courage, discipline, justice, wisdom, and decide on one concrete action. Marcus did this constantly in meditations. He did not describe the ideal empire. He described the difficult people and events in front of him and prepared his response. Real people who change their lives do the same. They start from the actual ground they are standing on, not from a collage of somewhere else. Second, practice premeditatio malorum using real nature as your teacher. Once a day, go outside if you can, or at least look at the real world through a window, and deliberately imagine difficulty arriving. Not as a panic spiral, but as clear preparation. The project fails. The relationship ends. The body gets sick. The money runs short. Then ask, if this happens, what remains under my control? How will I respond with strength instead of collapse? Nature does this to us whether we practice or not. Storms come, seasons change, bodies age. The person who has already rehearsed difficulty under the open sky is far harder to break than the person who has only rehearsed success on a corkboard. Third, use real people as your standard, not magazine cutouts. Look at the actual humans around you who have endured and built something. Not the curated highlight reels. The real ones. The ones who kept showing up when it was boring, cold, or humiliating. Ask what they did that your vision board is currently replacing. Almost always the answer is the same: consistent, unglamorous action in the face of real conditions. Marcus surrounded himself with that standard by reading history and philosophy, and by living among soldiers who had no time for fantasy. You can do the same by studying real lives instead of decorating imaginary ones. Fourth, apply the dichotomy of control with the indifference of nature as your mirror. Everything on a typical vision board, the car, the house, the body, the relationship, the income, sits largely outside your complete control. What is inside your control is your effort, your judgment, your habits, and your character. Nature demonstrates this daily. You cannot control the weather, but you can control whether you prepare for it. You cannot control whether a tree grows, but you can control whether you plant and water one. Soft, magical thinking confuses the two. Hard Stoic practice never does. Fifth, measure progress by real-world evidence, not by how inspired the board makes you feel. After a week of this practice, do not ask, "Do I feel more aligned?" Ask, "Did I take one hard action I was previously avoiding? Am I slightly more honest with myself? Am I less disturbed by the gap between my wishes and reality?" Real life keeps score with results and resilience. Vision boards keep score with feelings. Only one of those scores matters when the leaves keep falling and the frontier keeps demanding something of you. This system is not complicated. It is simply harder than glue and scissors. That is why most people prefer the board. The board asks almost nothing of you except occasional gazing and positive feelings. Real training asks you to meet the world as it is, the same world that grew the tree you are sitting under, the same world that produced Marcus Aurelius and every other person who ever built anything lasting. Let's be precise about what we are rejecting and what we are not. Having goals is not the enemy. Wanting a better life is not the enemy. Visualizing a difficult task before you do it can even be useful. The problem is when the visualization and the collage become a substitute for the work. The problem is when manifesting becomes a sophisticated way of avoiding the slow, often uncomfortable process of becoming the kind of person who can actually create those results. The problem is when you spend more time decorating the fantasy than training for the reality. Nature does not negotiate with vision boards. Real people who achieve hard things do not either. Marcus Aurelius did not. Adler did not. The single parent, the immigrant, the athlete, the writer, none of them did. They met the real conditions in front of them and acted. So here is the challenge for this week. Take the vision board down, or at least stop treating it as a magical tool. Spend the same amount of time you would have spent arranging images on doing one of the Stoic practices instead. Write the honest inventory. Practice premeditatio malorum while looking at real trees or real weather. Study one real person who built something through effort rather than fantasy. Apply the dichotomy of control to whatever is currently stressing you. At the end of the week, measure the difference in real terms. Actions taken, honesty increased, resilience grown, not in how inspired you felt while looking at cardboard. Most people will keep the board up. They will keep gluing new pictures and whispering new affirmations while the real world continues to operate by its own rules. That is the average path. Average comes to die on this channel for a reason. You now have the alternative. Marcus already lived it on the actual frontier, under the actual sky, among real difficulties. Adler already mapped the intellectual version of the same rigor. Real nature is already demonstrating it all around you every single day. The only question left is whether you will keep decorating your delusions under the trees or start training for the world that is actually here. Stop decorating your delusions under the trees. Start training for the real world. If this episode hit a nerve, do the one thing that compounds. Share it with someone still stuck in the manifestation loop. Subscribe if you haven't already. And tell me in the comments, what piece of magical thinking are you replacing this week with real training? Level up. Average dies here. See you in the next one.